All right, we got Mr. Courtney's 2011 Cadillac CTS-V. And this one, my guys, I already did a video on the O2 sensor. He hit something in the road, did some serious damage. But there's other things that have just been neglected. But I'm proud of them because this CTS-V from 2011 has over 200,000 miles in it. It's the most I've ever seen on a V. Like, they're actually using this thing, so kudos. I hate whenever they're just parked in a garage and barely ever used. But this video, what we're going to do is we are going after the Supercharger Isolator, which you got to remove the Supercharger snoot to get to. It basically, it's like this little spring-fed thing, and they have a replacement you can order, which I will have linked up here and in the description below. But it's like a solid plastic unit. But they have like this spring in the plastic housing from the factory, and it wallers out, and then it starts hitting the shaft of the drive shaft that the pulley is on. And it can actually wear down into that and cause some serious damage. So we are going to get this all apart. We're going to get that snoot off of there. We're going to swap that piece out. Before we do, I'll fire it up real quick. I'll let you hear what it sounds like. It is super easy to pinpoint. It's like a crunchy, like clunk, 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 clunking sound. That sounds like it's coming from behind the pulley, like back in this area. Really easy to figure out, but I'll show you what it sounds like, and then we'll get right into this. All right. I don't know if y'all can hear that. That little crunchy crunch sound coming from up in here. That's what we're after. So just getting right after it, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pull this breather line right here, which will involve pulling this line off, getting rid of the mass airflow sensor connector, disconnecting this. We'll just go through, disconnect all these connectors, move this wiring harness over here out of the way. This is a aftermarket intake, obviously, but you just, all these connectors, you'll squeeze, remove, just like this. This one has a squeeze on top and bottom to remove that plastic line. Over here, another squeeze and depressor, just like so. And this one tabs up, so lift up, unplug, just like that. And we're gonna fish it over here out of the way. Hey, just like there. And then we're gonna go ahead and loosen these band clamps, and we'll pull this unit out right here. Then we will need to disconnect our throttle body. We'll unbolt that. We'll get that out of the way just to help clear things, and then we'll pick up from there. We'll start undoing some lines. Okay, now moving to the throttle body. For this, we have 4 10 millimeters. One here, one there, one here, one here. We're gonna zip those out, and this whole thing will just pull right back. Okay. Okay, with the throttle body off, this is a good time to actually clean this sucker as well. We're gonna go ahead and replace that gasket while we got it off, and then we will pick up from there. All right, sorry. I got rudely interrupted by a guy at the gate way down the end of the driveway screaming and jumping. It was a Spectrum salesman. Jesus. But here we go. We're ready to keep rolling. So it looks like we need a 1/2 inch drive, a ratchet. We'll loosen this puppy up, and we'll get the supercharger belt off here. While I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and just squeeze and remove this little plastic evap line. I think that's like the purge valve. We also have the map sensor back here we need to unplug. It is another squeeze and release, but it's a little tight to get your hand in there. There ain't no doubt about that. So we'll get to that in a second. And then we need to remove this doodad majagger right here. I don't even know what that thing is, but it looks like a vacuum control on some sort of like throttle blade inside the supercharger. So we'll get that removed. I don't know. We'll pick up here because this looks a little confusing, but let me get this belt off. Let me disconnect everything over here, and then we'll move over to this side. Okay, so our booster line is off. That one you just pull off, and then I got our map sensor unplugged and set aside. So now what I'm trying to figure out is if this is a coolant line or not, which I should probably know that already, but I'm just gonna wing it. So we got a little depressor tabs down here. So we're gonna squeeze that, and we're gonna pull that off of there and see if coolant comes flying out of there. Or not. Oh man, I touched it and it looks like coolant's already dripping. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's coolant right there. Let's see if we can get this off without pulling that, because I don't want to lose a bunch of coolant. So we got a connector down here. We're going to have to get this little vacuum controller thing off. So that's a squeeze tab as well. Now we got to be very careful. We got a bunch of vacuum lines right here, about 1, 2, Just 2 of them. We got a broken vacuum line right there. Well, golly, and that thing's dripping coolant now. Golly, we shouldn't have even touched it. That's not good. Well, I guess at this point we might as well take it off, right, and see what happens. So let's work on, maybe we'll get this little plastic line off right here. This like PCV routing stuff. Let's get that off so we don't break that on accident. We got one over here, which looks a little more accessible. Yeah, it's got a little like flip tab. I'll show it to you when I get it off. So, oh, not quite enough. 2 hands will be required. Okay, so let's carefully fish this out. So you'll see here, it's like a little tab. You grab with your finger and just pull, and then you lift it up. So the other side is the same connection. We'll get that off. Then we can at least move this out of the way so we don't break that plastic. I need to figure out where that 3rd vacuum line goes though, because that should not be missing. Okay, so with these vacuum lines, I'm going to grab them and just gently squeeze and rotate because they're old and they're going to be gummed on there. So now I'm hoping we don't break. I'm going to assume on this little diaphragm, these are probably plastic nipples that they're pressed onto. Up here will at least be like an aluminum one. So let's try and get that one free first. And if I can just get these 2 ends free, I can take that little adapter thing off. So there we go. That's broke loose. Let's see if we can pull that one off. Oh, that one came right off. Look at that. Okay, so now we got to get that one off on that bottom side, and then we'll still have to get this one off because I don't know where it goes. And I was hoping to do this one first. Oh, it's really stuck on there. Don't break, don't break, don't break, don't break. Stop being stuck. Oh, don't break. Please don't break. New plan. I'm gonna use this really tiny pick tool, like very carefully, like a radiator removal, hose removal tool. We're gonna put it up in here without poking a hole in it. And we're just gonna ream it around, try and figure out what's getting stuck. There we go. Come on. Oh, it worked. It worked so good. All right, unfortunately, I don't know how we're gonna do that on this bottom one. Let's see if I can't get my pliers in there. Old guy just pulled up in the janky old Apache. Hear that fan running and vibrating. Okay, so y'all saw how I got the vacuum line off on this side. Yeah, so I essentially took the 10 mil bolt out of this bracket so I could rotate it and get access to this nipple right behind this pulley. And I did the exact same thing. Used my little pick tool, like a radiator removal tool, and it came right off of there. Come on. All right, I think we're getting pretty close to being ready to remove this snoot. What we're gonna wanna do, drop my ratchet, Jesus. Now what we're gonna wanna do is remove this little lower hose right here. So that's another one of those thumb or fingers down like that, and then we'll pull it straight back. And then there's a line right behind it. That's the vacuum line that I'm holding in my hand. So once we get this off, we'll try and get that off. We're gonna let this actuator ride with the snoot when we take it off. And then I think once we get those hoses off down there, we'll be ready to pull this strut tower support and take the lid off of the supercharger, because we do have to actually loosen the supercharger and raise it up like an inch or a half an inch or something. All right, so now we got that little line off. So we're gonna move over here. We got 18 millimeters. There's 2 on each side. So 2 over here, 2 over there. We'll unbolt that and we can lift that strut tower support off and set it to the side. Okay, so now with that off, we need to free up all the stuff on the top of this supercharger lid, because we're gonna remove this. We're not gonna take it out of the engine bay though, because I don't wanna drain the coolant and have to re-bleed that system. So we're going to unbolt it completely, and we'll just flip it over there to that side, leaving the coolant hoses attached. But you got another depressor tab here. You gotta squeeze until it will pop. This is kind of like how the mass airflow one was. It was gummy. There we go. Then you just work it back, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. This one's a lift up with your finger, pull back. Another one of these style here. There it goes. That's off of there. Now, let's go look at the other side. that side looks like it's good. So now we're going to just start firing off all the 10 millimeters that bolt this lid down to the bottom of the supercharger here. All right, all the 10 mils are out. So you basically just have them all the way around the perimeter. So you got all these, and then there's 2 on the back there. But now we should be able to lift this lid off, if we can get it off. Why am I doing this with my fingers when I'm holding an impact in my hand? Beats the hell out of me, y'all. All right, so now I reckon we should be able to lift that. Looky there. And now we can just flip it right over here, out of the way. Holy oil bath, boy. Hey, look. We can see the blades. Looks like there's some shiny parts on them. I don't think that's good. But 210,000 miles. Keep that in mind. Whew. All right, so now the next step is we're going to look down in here. We got some 8 millimeters that hold the bottom of the intake on. So we're going to pull all those out, and then we can pop this entire supercharger assembly up like a 1/2 inch. And once we can do that, we're good to unbolt this snout, lift it up, and pull it off. All right, now we got it all loosey-goosey, so we can pick it up like that. It is a little heavy though, but no big deal. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna work on, there's a 10 millimeter right down here where I'm pointing, kind of in this little gap at the bottom. There's one, you can see it from this angle down there. Right, oh my goodness. I'm knocking everything down off the front of here. So I'm basically gonna try and get all these bottom ones off, because I think I'm gonna wanna lift up the supercharger to access those. And then we'll come back and take the top ones off. And then at that point, this thing is RTV'd on, I'm pretty sure. So we'll put a pry bar in there and try and pop her off. Once it's loose, we can lift the whole unit up and fish this sucker out. And then we are home free. All right, so I got all the bolts out now. There are 6 10 millimeters total. You'll see I got 5 of them here. The one right down there where I'm pointing, that one I can't get out with my magnet, but it is completely loose. So you will have to lift up the supercharger assembly to get access to that one, and to get that one to clear over the water pump. And then over here, if you still have your map sensor, which he does, you'll have to take that out. It has a 10 millimeter holding it down, and you just gently wiggle it out of there with an O-ring to get to the 10 mil up there. There's one there, there's one there, there's one right there where you see that wear spot. There's one down there, kind of where that PCV line, or that whatever that line was we took off. One directly under there, and one directly under the throttle body on this side. So now we need to take a crowbar or a pry bar, and we're gonna try and get on that little lip right there and just pry it and get the RTV to break free. Oh God, that thing ain't budging, is it? All right, I think for me to refund this as hard as I need to, I actually need to reposition this supercharger. We're gonna finger start the 2 center bolts on each side, and then I'm gonna tighten those back down. That way the whole thing can't move and I can really get on there, because that RTV is strong. So that's now tightened enough for me to try and pry. There it went. So I heard that loud clickety clackety. It's a good sound. Okay. Now we're free. All right, so see now how it's all loose and free? Now we're going to take those back out. We can lift the whole assembly up. We should be able to slide this out forward. All right, I got those bolts loose. I think theoretically we are there. So now I want to find a spot to lift up on this puppy. Maybe from over here. And we'll just grab this tab. I'll move this magnet out of the way of my belly. Ow. Holy cow. What is that stuck on? Ow. It keeps wanting to. There it went. Straight forward. Come on. Now, we'll move this little hose here. Out we come. Yay. Oh my God, look at the wear on that shaft from the spring that came loose. It almost looks threaded. It's been banging for so long. Mr. Courtney, come on, man. How long has this been doing this? Okay, with that snoot out of there, you can see this little spring right here. See how it's all loose and oops, sorry, I had a hose in the way. See how it's all loose and bouncing around? That's our problem, ladies and gentlemen. That is what digs into that thing. So now we'll pull this little puppy out, just like that. Now, I do believe this purpose of this spring is to prevent like an overboost condition. And this Eaton one we're about to put on there, it ain't got that protection, but otherwise I think this thing's pretty much all stock, so shouldn't have any issues. If you've tuned it, you'll have to be a little more careful, but let me grab the new one. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, here's our replacement unit from Eaton. You'll notice it's perfectly symmetrical, so it is not directional. You can install it either way. And this guy just slides right in here and catches the 3 posts. However, you need to get it in there and just presses on there, just like this. There she is. That's our new isolator, just like that. All right, so I started to wrap this up, but I'm going to insert this there. I noticed that it wasn't all the way engaged pretty deep, so I just took this hammer with like a wood end and put it on there and just tapped it on the end, and it slid all the way in there and got complete engagement. So that's pretty important. Make sure you get it all the way on there. So at this point, all you got to do is you got to clean the RTV off. So we'll look over here at the snoot. I guess I know it's actually called a snout. I think I just keep calling it a snoot as a joke. But yeah, you got to clean all this RTV off here, and on the intake block side, right? And then we'll put a new small layer of RTV around both of these orifices, or both of these openings here, one there and this big one down here. It's going to be tedious RTV work. And then you just put everything back together. Whenever you stab this up, I will put the torque spec for the snout bolts, for the intake bolts with the pattern here after I show these ones, and for the upper lid bolts all on the screen now. And then yeah, that's all there is to it. Just put everything back together the way we took it apart. So hopefully this helps somebody out. If it did, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you want to see more.